Hey, welcome to the podcast. I am Chris, and this is the Matters Not podcast. Buck, unfortunately, is having hemorrhoids removed, so he cannot be here today.
So the lowdown is that it's literally, potentially a pain in the butt.
So, for a short period of time, we're going to have some guests in taking Buck's place. Our first one today, Chrissy. Hello, Chrissy. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Chris?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. So we honestly, I don't know you that well. I know that you worked with Megan for a small period of time, and you had an idea that you wanted to do a podcast, and you want to do your own podcast.
Yes.
So what is the premise of this podcast that you want to do, but you haven't actually done it yet, have you?
I have not. I've done some practice runs, practice episodes, but I haven't actually done it. But my idea is to reach out and try to talk to people who are in a kind of a late bloomer stage in their life. So, and that's different for different people. So, when I think of a late bloomer, first of all, I think of a child, like an adolescent that's late blooming, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm thinking of middle adult, so 40s, 50s, when you're looking around and you're seeing other people that seem to have found their way or found their success or found their place early in life, and you feel like, wait a minute, I'm not where I want to be, or I've never been where I want to be, and now here I am. I'm feeling. You might be feeling like it's too late, but you just feel like there's something tugging at you that you want to do. And I think that it would be good to start a conversation and also I'm in that phase right now in my life, and so I'm trying to explore that. And so that's the premise, is just late bloomers, like what it's all about, how that works later in life, and the things that we need to let go of, that if we are in that phase and we want to make something happen in our lives that we haven't been able to make happen before, get rid of all these little strongholds that keep us back.
What was it? Something you started to do like in your 20s and you realized that's not what you want to do later on in life, or even 30s, whatever the case may be? Or, I mean, even are we talking other things besides occupations?
Mostly occupations for me. That's what I'm looking at, is more like, and even if it's something where you've had this occupation for 20 years that you aren't happy with, or that you thought you were going to be happy with, and you just kind of feel like this is not what I want to do anymore, and something else, because you grow, you change, you're different from where you were in your 20s, and you just want to make, change careers, or you want to turn a hobby into a career, something that you've been doing along with your career. I mean, it's so open-ended. It's such a broad topic. Yes. It is hard to, I think career is a big part of it. Definitely, like I think everybody would like to be doing what they love and making money doing it. That is the bottom line. So I think that's how to pull all that together is really the bottom line here.
I mean, I'm a big component of that. I mean, I'm basically going through the same thing myself, going from being a welder / team leader to now doing a podcast and trying, even helping my buddy basically run his company. It's a completely different world to what it was a year ago for me.
Yeah, definitely.
And that so many people can relate to that. I mean, so if you were to start something like this, you can absolutely, I think you can really get a lot of people to come in and talk with you.
I think so too. And I would love, one of the big things for me is thinking of being a connector. So is talking to people and saying, hey, what do you want to do? And maybe even first talking them through, like, what do you want to do? And helping them figure out if they haven't quite figured it out. They just know there's something out there that they want to do different than what they're doing. And then helping them figure that out, and then connecting them to the people, the resources, the places they could go to make that happen.
Nice. That's actually that's pretty nice of you to do. I think that's actually pretty solid.
I would love that. That would be a dream.
So what did you start off early in life wanting to do?
Well, early in life, I actually, we're talking like elementary school, I wrote plays. I wrote screenplays. I wrote from top to bottom, and I would have my cousins act them out reluctantly, but they did it for some reason. And so we did that, and I was having fun as a kid, but looking back as an adult, that was a clue to what I actually liked to do. And I did get into some theater and things like that. And I actually started out in college wanting to be in broadcast journalism. That was my first major that I declared. And then that was I quickly took that to undecided, which was my declared major for a while. I don't know why. I don't know what shied me away, but I went completely away from that to counseling, which actually it's not quite that far away because broadcast journalism, it turned out that I didn't really want to be someone who was, I didn't want to be on the news. I didn't want to be actually in media that way. And of course, this was before social media this was back in 1996. So I'm dating myself, but so I went into counseling, and I think that's another clue to where here I am wanting to help people get to where they want to be. Then I went into nursing. So I've been all over the place, and here I am in my late 40s and just making a whole turn here and trying to make this happen.
So what's the next step?
The next step is to kind of let go of my fear and actually start this podcast, because I do believe that it can be something that people will listen to and people will benefit from.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is a starting point then, right here, right now.
I hope so. This is exciting because I get to see how all of this actually works and I think the technical part of it is what kind of, because obviously I can sit and talk, but the technical part is what kind of gives me a little bit of fear. So I think once I can let go of that, then I can.
It's so funny you say that, because I felt somewhat similar, but now it's become more of the technical part is the stuff that I love more than anything. Like when I was doing the My Midlife Crisis videos, and it's not like I don't want to do those, and just unfortunately the time has kind of gotten away from me, but I started to really enjoy the video editing so much to now where I don't want to do a podcast without the phones recording, for the simple fact that it is so boring to me listening when there's so much more to be done with the video. Putting in the, stupid little memes from time to time just to give it a little bump in energy, or gay, or, even the cutting stuff out if I have to. It's just, I love being able to manipulate a video to get what I want out of it. When I was a kid, and hell, even in my 20s, I always thought I wanted to be movies, directors. Like, I don't know why I didn't get into drama when I was in high school, because I feel like that would have been perfect for me. But now that I have an idea of how to do it, I want to do more of it. And not even just the directing part, but even the social media management, making content. There's actually a course up at Mount West that I'm looking to possibly get into within the next year. And that'll be, that's a big jump for someone that's 42 years old. I'm
47. I'm there with you.
Yeah.
I have heard of that class too. I've looked into that as well.
Yeah.
One at Mount West. Yes.
We're all late bloomers in some kind of way, mm-hmm. right? There's something, I mentioned this, I think on the last podcast, my son was making prank phone calls with our nephew. Yes. And he called a Ferrari dealership, and he talked to the woman there. It was like, listen, I want to get a Ferrari. What's the best way to do it? And she's like, find a passion, make a business out of it. Right. Like, and that's essentially what is important to me, because especially someone with, like, I have ADD, and if I'm not into something, it's hard to retain that information. Right. Like, you've really got to push yourself. Right. I think a lot of people have that. And that's what I'm trying to teach my son right now is, if you want to do something, if you love something, find that passion. Just like that lady said, it doesn't matter if you can afford a Ferrari later on in life or not. Just the ability to do something you love, and you don't have to be a millionaire, just something that's going to support you and you're happy with. You only have this life once, YOLO. Uh-huh.
That's right. You just, it's so easy to get stuck in the fears or the reasons not to. And I'm where I'm trying to get rid of those fears, identify those fears, and then move forward instead of having that hold me back. And I'm realizing it's held me back for decades. And I think that's happening to a lot. It's happened to a lot of people. And it's and I thought, I need to figure all of this out. This was my thought for years. I thought I've wanted to help people with this, just be able to live their lives to the fullest. I've wanted to do that for a long time, find a way to help guide people in that way. Cause I just hate to think of how short life is and how many people are just not doing what they want to do, and then they have this thing or they maybe even just completely have let go of it just because they don't even feel like it's possible. And that's sad to me. So, but I thought for years that I needed to be successful and be able to have all the answers and have something tangible to show for it. I have, obviously I've had a nursing career, and I've done things that I'm proud of, that I've achieved, but I haven't done the thing that I want to do. But I feel like I've heard people say that coming to people in the middle of your journey, even if you haven't figured it all out, that's kind of more relatable. That it is more relatable than coming and saying, here, I figured all this out and here's how to do it. And another thing is, when you try to tell somebody, here's the recipe because here's how I did it, it's not going to be the same for every person. So my idea is to guide from my experiences, but also take what they're wanting to do and help guide them in their own personal journey. Really make it personal, not just say, here's how you do it, here's the steps, and go for it. It's a lot more personal than that.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you come along people in your life, especially good people, that will help you along with that, seeing that, right?
Right.
Because in the 42 years I've been around, I've come to realize that there's far more important things than wealth. You know, just having good people around you to bring you up when you're down or celebrate those times when you're up, that means the world, right? And then those people, I mean, that encouragement. I mean, I remember when I left my job, or I was leaving my job, you know, I had some ideas of what I want to do, and Megan's the one, like, why not podcast, right? And I never really considered it. I mean, I knew I loved doing it. It was fun to do, and I hadn't done it in years, but just the fact that she was willing to help me figure out what I wanted to do and possibly make something of it meant the world to me, you know? And I feel like being a man and having a woman say that to a man is kind of, most women want a man to be a provider, and in most cases, and Megan is definitely the unicorn where she's like, no, babe, I got you. Like, yes. Do your thing, find out what you want to do. We'll make this work. So very fortunate that way.
Definitely. And what you said about having a supporter, that's a big deal. That really is important, because if you, it's not impossible when you have a partner who is not that, you might be the kind of person who's really trying to get out there and do something new, but you have a partner who's in that mindset of just be happy where you are. You know, everybody's situation is different, but that's something that could be going on. There's other support that you can find. It's not hopeless if you don't have somebody who's supporting you, but having that support is so important, and finding that support, even if it's not your partner. And there may be it may be that your partner comes along after a little bit. Sometimes people are just coming at it from a genuine, fear isn't something that's good, but it's natural to be fearful. Like, oh my gosh, that's to warn you and say, don't do that. It's very unlikely that's going to happen, that you're going to make it. It really is a unicorn situation that you have, where someone was able to look at you and say, go out, do this. There's some odds against you, but I want you to do this. I don't want you to go forward in life without doing something that makes you happy and that's really important. But for people who don't have a partner who is supportive in that way, it doesn't need to be, it's hard, but it doesn't need to hold you back completely. And there is a possibility that person might come around once they start to see you happy, and it might but I just hate for that to be such a barrier, but I do understand how it can be. But yes, but then also you've got to look for a support outside of your, just someone who, whether it's someone at your, pastor, or if it's a friend, just someone who can support you, or even if it's a Facebook group that has to do with what you're wanting to do, that can be really helpful. There's so many Facebook groups out there where you can go and get support from people and that's the good thing, because they're objective. They don't know you. So it's something that you can talk about with people that are like-minded, but they don't know your background completely. So they just know that you're wanting to do the same thing.
So going back a little bit, when going to college, once again, broadcast journalism, decided not want to do that. And you said you didn't want to get into media. Now, what was it about the media that kind of turned you off from, or maybe the classes, whatever you were learning, what was it that made you go, this is not something I want to do?
It's actually me now that's glad I didn't go into media. Back then, it was the first broadcast journalism class that I had, or journalism, whatever it was. It wasn't enjoyable. I didn't like it. I didn't feel like it. I was intimidated maybe. It might have even just been oh my gosh, this is intimidating. I don't think I could do this. This is not for me. And I just backed away. I was very shy and backward when I was that age. I'd kind of come out of my shell a little bit, but I think it was just a little intimidating. And I just decided, this is too much. This is too much for me to get into, and I don't want to be on a screen and all that. I just decided I can't remember my mindset at the time. I know I was partying a lot.
Yeah,
I know.
We all at that age.
I know that I didn't know what I wanted in life. And so I had this wild idea to go into broadcast journalism, and then quickly decided I didn't want to for some reason. I really can't remember. That's so odd.
Interesting. That's fair. I mean, there was an Instagram reel I just saw like earlier today that said something along the lines of when you are 20 years old, that means you're 2 years old of an adult. And then by 28, you're 10 years in, and then so on and so forth. And it's like, give yourself some grace, because it's okay that you don't have everything figured out, right? Like, it's going to take time.
Right.
And I feel like that's a big part of it.
Yes.
Now, okay. So obviously, like you said, a little shy, party and stuff like that, and not your thing. Did you like go through all your electives and then you got into this class and you're like, no, this isn't me? Or is this like the very beginning of your college career?
My very first class that I walked into ever was my broadcast journalism
Really?
class. Yes. And it was it was weird because I never had a class like that from that point on, like in the same kind of classroom. Not because, and I had in a couple other journalism classes, but it was like, I don't know. Yeah, that was my first class was the broadcast journalism class. And it was, maybe that was the intimidating part about it was this big, huge classroom like you see in the movies with the big, I don't know, they don't have a lot of those on Marshall's campus. Maybe they do now, but the big stacks of steps, it was a lot. And I was just not ready, I guess. I don't know. It's so strange, but.
So at that point, is it a matter of days, weeks that you decide to change your major, or?
I was actually undecided for probably a year, maybe 2 years. I think I decided halfway through my second year at Marshall what I wanted to do. And yeah. So, and it was really, I was actually at a party one time and we were all sitting around talking, and I probably remember this a little bit more dramatic than it was. Like, it wasn't as bad as what I remember. But I remember we were all sitting around talking about our majors, and we went around the circle, and one person said, "I'm going into medicine." Next person said, "I'm going into teaching." Next person said whatever. They kept naming careers, and it came around to me, and I said, "I'm undecided." And it seems like there was like a screech, like a record screech.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and then it was like everybody got really quiet. And I really didn't expect that. I just thought, we're just talking about, it's okay that I'm undecided, because people had told me that, but these people in this room did not think that was okay. They were appalled that I hadn't chosen a major. And it was really only my second year in college, but that might've been what pushed me to, well, I guess I better pick something. I got to pick something. And I chose counseling.
I mean, okay, I kind of get it in a way, because being a parent to a soon to be 15-year-old, I keep telling him, figure out what you want to do. It'll be easier now than what it will be later, right? But at the same time, like, you bring up a valid point. Like, you don't really want to push them necessarily, but like, just kind of get in their head to try to find something. Be open-minded about every possibility, and if it feels like it'll stick, great. But on the same thing, like, you had this idea, and then you realize this is not it. And then, granted, everyone's looking at you like you had fucking horns growing out of your head. But so counseling. Now, you got a degree in counseling?
I did. I got my degree in counseling. I still look back and think, well, I wasn't as happy as I wanted to be with it 2 years in, but I was so far in at that point that why not just go ahead and finish? I was never super happy with college, but college was one of those things, even my parents would say, it wasn't a question. I was going to college. There wasn't any, and that was a different time. So, and I think a lot of us my age and around my age can relate with that. It was you're going to college no matter what. You're going to college, and that's what's going to happen. Pick something and graduate. Make sure you just get your degree. That was the thing. But I did. And I have all these student loans, of course. So there's a lot of us that can relate with that as late bloomers as well. But yeah, that was what happened. I just kind of chose something that I felt that was my personality kind of went along with my person. I knew I wanted to help people, but that's such a broad term, and there's so many things you can do with that. Do I regret getting a counseling degree? No, I don't regret having it because I do have an education that helps in other ways. Definitely, it does help to have that college degree in some ways, and it did help me. It kind of led me to nursing, which was also, I don't ever regret that as either. It was a good 10 years. So,
did you start at a career in counseling? Were you counseling people?
I started, okay, so here's what happened. When I graduated, I had a bachelor's degree, but really to do anything that I would have wanted to do with counseling, I would have had to have a master's degree. And so when I did a practicum, I did kind of an externship at St. Mary's, and I went around with a pastor and that was wonderful, walking around praying with patients and things like that. That was a really wonderful experience, but I saw what the nurses were doing, and then I decided to go into nursing. But this is a long story, so I'm going to, but anyway.
Hey, yeah. Well, take your time.
It's a good late bloomer story because I went here and there and everywhere, and here I am now. So it hopefully will help somebody someday to say, gosh, well, I thought I messed up, but not really. It's everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different path. I did not finish nursing school the first time I went. And so I went back thinking I was going to get my master's in counseling. So I actually went back to a school to start my master's degree. And then life took me on a whole different path because I got married and thought that my life was going to be in ministry with a pastor that I married. So that's a whole other can of worms. But so this is just to say that my life took a lot of different turns and a lot of different just ups and downs, thinking I was going to go this direction, ended up going this direction. And so I think that helps me to relate with anybody who's been on a roller coaster in life, had this happen, and now you find yourself later in life, 40s, 50s, even 60s and beyond, and you're thinking, gosh, I wish with what I know now, I wish I had done this then. But really, you've got to tell yourself and remind yourself that you've been through all these things for a reason, and then you may just be coming into your purpose, which I believe everyone has. You may just be happening now, and it's all these things have led you there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you could even go back and start over knowing what you know now, you are going to go down that different path, making mistakes.
Exactly.
It's how we grow.
Exactly.
All right. Wow. I had no idea that you were married to
I was. I got married. I think I was seeing everybody else get married. I had been in a relationship that was probably the most, the closest to marriage that I'd ever been. And I actually, we were heading that direction. And I don't know what happened. I kind of started to feel like, oh gosh, it's not happening for me now. And I kind of flaked out a little bit. And I was working at Prestera. I was working there with my counseling degree and met a minister. But I was in this other relationship, so I had nothing there. But somebody asked me if I was with somebody, and I said yes. I'm dating someone. So, but I kind of got in my head. I started thinking maybe this is God's path for me. This is terrible. Looking back on this, I feel terrible about just the way this went. But I ended up ending that relationship, and then I was available then, and so I kind of the found out that I was available, asked me out, and we started talking. We ended up getting married after 3 months.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yikes.
Yes, it was a lot. So that was rough because my mom always worried that experience that I had, which was not a good experience, that would turn me away from my faith, which it did not. My faith wasn't even developed at that point. It was, I thought, but it wasn't to where it is now, definitely. But yeah, so we got married, and we were married for a total of 6 months. It was quick. Marrying somebody that you don't know is not recommended, definitely, but it happens, and sometimes people make it. But in this case, it was hard because here I was in this responsibility of being a wife, and I was, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it wasn't a good fit at all. He had some control issues, things like that, and it was hard. It was hard, but I quickly realized what was wrong, or what had happened, and that I'd made a mistake, and kind of I got a divorce within 6 months. And I think as far as my late bloomer story, I think that was the moment in my life where I was either going to be able to pick myself up and tell myself that this was a mistake, I just needed to move on, or I was going to let that consume me and define me. And that's what happened. I basically thought, okay, I can't make decisions, obviously. And I was 27 at the time. So that really, it crushed me. It crushed me in the way that I thought, oh my gosh, here I am. I'm finally going to have, in my head, I thought the thing to do was to get married, have kids, have a family. And that was just in my mind. That's what I had to do at that time in my life. I've always wanted children. So that's why that's why I rushed into something that I shouldn't have rushed into. But then when I kept going, I just felt completely flattened. And it's taken me 20 years. This is the first year that I really feel like I'm back to myself. It's taken me that long to really heal from that and realize that just because you make mistakes, it doesn't mean that you aren't capable of moving on and making good decisions in the future. So, and it just took a long time for me to get through all that.
Absolutely. I can relate to that. I've had some issues myself with, because of a past relationship that it took a long time to realize that those moments don't define you. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, and you just talking about how like you feel like it's, like the right thing to do. You see people around you getting married, having children, like it just seems like that's the natural progression. And, your parents could have that. I mean, I think of, you ever see the movie Fight Club?
I have not seen it.
Oh,
I know a lot about it. I
okay.
do. I know the ending. I know. Yeah, I've
fair
heard
enough.
it.
Fair enough. You know okay. So no spoilers for you.
No.
There's a scene in it where Brad Pitt is talking about how
my dad never went to college, so it's real important that I go.
That sounds familiar.
So I graduate. I call him up long distance. I said, Dad, now what? He says, get a job.
Same here.
Now I'm 25. Make my yearly call again. I say, Dad, now what? He says, I don't know. Get married.
That's kind of what my first marriage was to my son's mother. I mean, I'm not saying that I didn't love her. She's a great woman, and that's one I made a mistake on. She was a good woman. I just didn't see what I had, and it was the grass is greener on the other side. I was young, all that stuff, right? And but I was just going through the motions of what I thought I was supposed to do instead of just kind of seeing what's out there in life, enjoying things. So granted, I've got a great son out of it, and thank God I have a great ex-wife because my son's mother is amazing. But with that being said, going on to a second marriage, that's when it was like a problem. It was like, okay, like this, some bad stuff, and just kind of get past that and realizing that, everything's going to be okay.
Yes.
Finding myself again, realizing that I'm not such a bad person as what I was told I was, and life's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you got me thinking. And for one thing, we have that in common too. I've also been married twice, and I'm not married to, we are planning eventually, but I'm not married to Dane, to my son's father. So I have been married twice and divorced twice. So been there. I was just thinking about how hard it is I was thinking about this last night when I was kind of preparing for this. When you're younger and you are successful when you're younger, I'm not saying that means that everything's just peachy for the rest of your life, but there are some unique challenges for us as older older people who have been. Is that okay to call us older people? I don't want to call us that. Let's just
I feel old as fuck. I'm unk as the kids say.
Some days I do too. We're not old people.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
We're
older.
We're much older.
All right. So what I think of is, and I'm going to try to articulate this the way it was in my head, and I tried to write it down as well. But the challenge for late bloomers is that we didn't gain that confidence that some did in their 20s. And let's just face, in your 20s, whatever you're doing in your 20s, you kind of get a pass because you don't know what's going on a lot of times. It's wonderful and cool when people that, for however life has taken them and the upbringing they had or whatever it was that led them to find success early or And when I say success, that's a big thing. Success is different things. It's, I'm not even going to get into all that, but someone who kind of pulled it together, got married at 22 and then found the love of their life. Okay. For instance, found the career at early 20s and then stuck with it for their whole, and still is happy with it. They've gained that confidence that maybe you and I'm speaking for you, but for myself, definitely, I didn't gain that confidence in myself in my 20s or in my 30s because I was still trying to figure it out. And of course, I had the 2 failed marriages and things like that. So when you get to your 40s and you're trying to pull on some achievement in your life and you're trying to say, okay, I can figure this out. You've got these things pulling on you that are like, no, I failed here and I failed there. And I'm also not saying that people who find these things early in their 20s haven't made mistakes either. I'm just saying there's certain success that they've found and kind of a confidence in themselves probably from these successes that they've had that they don't have to struggle later to realize, okay, I can do this. It's more of a struggle when all you kind of have these disappointments in your past. If that makes any sense. You've kind of come through a lot of disappointment. Sometimes it's easier, even as a defense mechanism, to fall back on those fears. Like just, okay, I'm not going to get excited about this. This probably isn't going to work out. Never has before. So why would I, you kind of like don't want to get yourself too excited about something.
It's almost like a comfort zone in a way.
Yes, it is. It is because then you can even say, okay, well, I'm not going to try that because it's not going to happen. So why would I try? So it's, even though there's still that sadness probably in your heart that you're not going to do that. But even that, you may even be able to turn that off. And that's sad to me because there are so many things that people, I know that they're holding on to that they have in the back of their mind or in their heart or just something that they want to do that they just can't get past those strongholds. And I think the late bloomer, like someone who's been through a lot of different disappointments here and there and just things that have happened through their life that have made them feel like for myself, for instance, just looking back and thinking about all the times I've been disappointed in myself or disappointed in the outcome of something that I thought was going well, it could really keep me from moving forward because all I have to go on is, well, it hasn't happened for me in the past, but you have to realize there's a whole open door in the future. You've got to give yourself the grace and you've got to let go of the past and really believe that there's something else good in the future that is there for you and that can happen.
I mean, that's where having that support system helps out.
Definitely.
I mean, because if you have someone that's going to basically give you the whole thing in your head that it's not going to happen, it's just, you're not going to take that step.
Right.
Right. So yeah, good support system definitely helps out with that. Obviously, same here. 2 failed marriages. On to my third one. Third time's a charm, which this one, she's a good egg. So
yes, she is.
But getting older and realizing that making those mistakes, whether it was my own mistakes or, ignoring red flags, that has helped out a lot of ways in growth for me specifically, because now, like, one, I feel like I can better guide my son along those ways. Right. And 2, I'm just way more appreciative of what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good point. You do appreciate more. That's one of the unique positives about being older and having been through some stuff and had some failed things, in your life, like whether it be career or marriage or whatever. You've had some that you've gone through some pain and some that there's always good to be had from that. It grows you. It strengthens you. It helps you have thicker skin.
When Megan told me about your whole idea of the podcast, I thought it was a great idea. I mean, because like I said, there's so many people out there that feel this way, especially people our age, the older people.
All senior citizens should have Life Alert.
That they, you're in a career for so long and it's draining at a point. Maybe there was something about it in the beginning that you enjoyed it because it was something new and fresh and learning something. And then it's just like, you're just phoning in every day. You're having to push yourself to get up and go do something that you've been trained to do and you're good at, but there's no passion in it. Right.
Right.
So I don't know. I really do feel like there's something there. And I think you should really jump into this.
Really?
Yes.
I do. I'm actually doing a devotional right now. It's like a it's a 100-day believing bigger is what it's called. And I had it on my shelf for a while. And I don't know, the other day, I always look ahead to the next day and what the next day, the topic is. And it said, the next day was, where are you meant to lead, is what it said. And I actually thought about that. And the first two things that came to my head was, number one, I've never really been in a leadership position. I really haven't. But I've always felt like I had some kind of leader in me. And that doesn't mean like standing up in front of a bunch of people. I'm just saying like the opportunity to lead people I've never had a supervisor position or that kind of thing.
Like a cult.
Right.
No, I'm teasing. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. No, I've done that before.
Whoa, wait, we're going to go right back to this here in a second.
That was one of those mistakes that I'm trying to get past.
Are you legit?
I'm joking.
You tricked me.
I can honestly say I wasn't trying to trick you.
You weren't?
All I said was, you gotta let me out of here. There's no trick.
So I do have to let you out of here?
Yes.
Okay.
I really couldn't tell for a second.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, man, maybe
was
she's
really
got something
convincing.
here. It was. You're a good actress.
See, there's that was my childhood fantasy. Yes.
Uh-huh. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. So I started kind of to pray about it. I prayed about what is it that I'm. Oh, the second thing that I thought about was I don't know where I'm supposed to lead. Where, because that was the topic. Where do you feel led? Where do you feel that God wants you to lead people? And so I started kind of praying about it. And interestingly, I told you this already. That next day was Friday, and I was cleaning out some things. I'm trying to clean up my dining room and clean out some shelves and drawers and things like that. And I found my outline for my podcast, which was about the Late Bloomers podcast. And then you contacted me to be on your show, and you said you might want to talk about the late bloomer topic. And so I said, sure. And so it's kind of like it went from. So I do feel like that is something that I am being led to do, is to help.
The signs are there.
Yeah, it's kind of almost too kind of in your face kind of thing. It really has been really cool for that to happen.
My ego is like, oh, I'm a tool of God right now. This is amazing.
You should be happy about that. Yes.
I would take it way too far with that. I would start a cult and be like, all right, Megan, we're starting a cult. Let's get our followers together.
Let's do it.
It's not good for me. The ego's got to be smashed down as much as possible.
I'm just happy that I actually like. You really thought that I was being serious about the cult. You really
For
did.
a second,
I had you convinced.
You're talking about having an ex-husband for. I'm like, and you said it was a rough 6 months. I'm like, maybe there's something there.
Yeah,
like, oh boy, I should have noticed these signs.
I started
he
a
had
cult.
4 other wives.
Started a cult against ex-husbands or something.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of those already out there.
Oh yeah, actually, There's. I did find that there were too many, so I just went a different direction with my cult. I'm really just kidding. There's no cult.
Well, now that I know that, yeah, you're kidding. I'm not taking any of it seriously. Oh my goodness. So, all right. Do you want to go over like your outline, or would you prefer just to kind of save that for your own podcast?
I would love to go over some of these and just kind of hear your thoughts on it.
Ooh,
just to see what you think.
Let's do it.
So, all right. So here's my first thought was, and this is such a broad topic. So, you think people are going to have different things that they want to do, as a late bloomer. It's maybe, and they may already have the idea like, hey, I want to start a coffee shop. This is definitely what I want to do. I just don't have the means to do it. Then you have someone who kind of like me, I have a lot of different interests, and it's kind of like, oh my gosh, this door is open now. And I don't have the means to, just throw a bunch of money into something, but I definitely realize now that that's not a barrier, not always a barrier. In some ways it can be, but it's not always a barrier. So, but just in general, when you're blooming late in life, one of the things could be that you never learned how to cook. Okay. Like we're talking like we're all over the place here. There's could be so many different things that is a late bloomer kind of thing. And so I have like one of the things is Back to Basics series, which means we would be reading how-to books for kids. For children, like, sometimes it's good to go back to the very basics of something rather than just like, let's teach as adult. You're forgetting that maybe you have never ever touched that before. So let's read a how-to book for kids.
Okay. are you literally saying a how-to book for kids, or are you saying a how-to book for kids for adults, saying like, let's go back to the basics for adults that never learned how to do something like this?
I'm talking like how to for kids.
For kids,
which I think would be even a funny thing. It can be, because I even bought a book that says how to be a person. I thought it was funny, and it was like, it can help my child too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can learn some things from it. And I haven't really gotten to look very much at it, but how to be a person is what the book's called. So I thought that would be something, might even be a funny thing to throw into the podcast, like something at the very end or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, another thing is, turning a hobby into a career. That's something that I think is worth talking about. Starting a new career later in life. What do you want to learn about? And another thing I think is really, really a good thing is famous late bloomers. So actual people that we know that are the famous people who we don't even know started this at 52 or this at 60, that kind of thing. And even later, there's some really cool stories about people who started later in life.
Oh, yeah.
There is the pros and cons of blooming later in life. There's parenting later in life right here. I had a baby at 41, so that's a thing. But so it's a little all over the place right now, but I'm trying to figure out, I think there's definitely something that I could nail it, like kind of narrow it down to eventually.
So, but this would all be under the late bloomers umbrella of podcasting.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
That's good.
And I wrote a little, exercise after 40. That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Nutrition, investing, financial. I'm not your financial guru whatsoever, and I think a lot of people aren't. But it doesn't hurt to learn about finances and get comfortable with finances at any age. If you've never been comfortable with that, why not start? That would be like a whole episode or maybe even a series.
Absolutely. I think there's so many. I mean, personally, I never really learned anything about finances. I wish that someone would have sat me down and been like, listen, you need to do this or you are going to struggle, because boy, finances have been a struggle in my life.
Yes. Yeah. Me too. And I'm not somebody that you want to, I couldn't teach someone about it. I couldn't do that, but I want to get to the point where I could.
Well, there's an old, not an old saying, but I've heard people talk about how, public schools are meant to teach worker bees, right?
Yes.
Where the kids that have money, that are from families that are business owners, go to private schools that teach business, right?
Yes.
So it's almost like we're set up to fail in a way if you are the public school kid, the blue collar family, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where obviously the ones that have businesses that are successful have a little bit more of an upper leg.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Is that the right term? Am I using that? An upper leg?
Upper hand?
Upper hand. There we go. See,
Yeah,
different
it's a different
appendage.
body part.
I'm just an idiot. And I have a podcast.
I like that. I think I'm going to start using
An
it.
upper leg? Yeah.
An upper
I
leg.
think that's what we're going to call this, the upper leg podcast.
I'll take it named. Done.
But yeah, like, so it's kind of, growing up, I was a public school kid.
Well, no shit.
Dad was a Ford worker, blue collar guy. Mom was at home. I think that's just kind of normal for us not to learn those things.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's kind of set up that way in a way.
Well, that's a good point too. I also the idea, and I do have an idea for a name for the podcast, and that leads me to that actually. First of all, you've got to give yourself grace. I in the past couple of years have started to kind of come out of that. I was young for too long, mentally, like I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to worry about that. I don't want to learn that, that kind of thing. And I kind of came to this place where I started to, and I'm not the most organized person. So, and all of a sudden I started looking around. Oh my gosh, it's almost like I grew up a little bit, like that. And came to a place I'd never been before. Like, I'm tired of just blaming this mess on my ADHD. I want to figure this out. I've never developed an exercise routine. I want to figure this out too, but also nobody has it all figured out, and you got to give yourself grace. You've got to give yourself, even if you do come to that place where it's like, gosh, I want to learn this and I want to get a little better at this. Just take it lightly, go at it lightheartedly, and have fun with it. And don't look at it like you have to figure everything out at once. It's just maybe pick something that's like, oh, that's what I want to do, is make kind of the learning of these things kind of fun. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but don't worry that this isn't going to this isn't going to be something that if you don't learn all this or you don't figure all this out, that your life is just worthless. Don't look at it like that. It's just, I just want to look at it like there's certain things that people think, oh, that would be cool to know how to do. I've never known how to do that before.
Just some one little thing, if they get out of it, will mean the world, right?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. One of the things I would love to do would be to have people who are, have someone who is a financial advisor, interview them and just give some practical things, just some little practical, here's this couple things that you can look at if you happen to be later in life and you don't feel like you have a good handle on things, and just to make things easier for yourself in the future, that kind of thing. But that's just one idea. But having other people,
especially if someone that has went through that struggle, and went through it, and can give you their own personal take on what happened in their life, that's going to relate to, I feel like, a lot of people.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing that I have to keep reminding myself. And like I said earlier, if you have it all figured out, you're just going to seem intimidating to people. Like if you really do have it all figured out, and you can't relate, you kind of get to a point where you just you can't really have those. It's not the same conversation because you can't really relate on that level of that frustration. And I don't know. It's just so much. I think I want to figure this out together with people. Yes.
Well, going back to what you were just saying, the people that have it all figured out being intimidating. I always get the feeling of those people that they're just full of shit, that no one really has anything figured out. You're able to fake it, or, I don't even know what the other option is. Because to me, no one has anything figured out really.
Yeah, I have learned, and I was fooled by this for a very long time, working with people who seemed to have it all figured out, but they really had not really, they just had this confidence, or even an authentic confidence. It was just, they knew how to put this face on and seem like they had it all figured out. And that really got me for years. I thought, and I just felt very intimidated and small around them. And that it didn't make sense at the time. I never saw it, but looking back, that's the thing. You get older and you start seeing these things and like, gosh, I wish I hadn't felt that way. I hadn't done this, but you can't get caught up in that.
Yeah, you see through the cracks, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, oh yeah, what was I so scared of?
Yeah,
I get that. Is all you have as far as do you want to go to anything else?
I see. What I have is kind of a little list of things that I have tried to look at for myself when it comes to if you're in the same situation that, like I said, the late bloomer thing, it's different for everybody. But these are a couple of practical tips that I've used myself to kind of get myself out of the, just the feeling of, I messed it up.
I feel like your counseling's really kicking in on this, the stuff that you might have learned with counseling.
Possibly. It did stick with me even after 25 years. I mean, it really has stuck with me. So, but some of this stuff, and I've been through a lot. I have seen a lot of things and seen people go through a lot of things. And
life lessons just have a lot. I mean, they're worth their weight in gold.
Definitely. And I think that my experiences, I've had so many jobs. Obviously, I've had relationships, different relationships, marriages. I have really grown and seen a lot of things. I've had more jobs than I'm comfortable sharing, but I look back and I know that that's brought me to where I am, and that might have brought me to my purpose. And a lot of those were probably wrong directions, but God was able to pull all that together and make it into something that's going to be helpful to other people, I hope. But so my list here, it's 3 things. So when you look at where you are and you might, if you feel like, oh, I can't do this thing that I want to do because I haven't, whatever you're feeling, like you're not able to move forward for whatever reason. The first thing I think it's good to do is list your achievements. So make a list of things that you feel good about, that you've achieved in your life, that you've done well. And that can be, and that's kind of hard. It is hard to make a list about yourself that's positive, but that's really important to do. And so list your achievements. And then if you happen to be someone who doesn't know exactly what you want to do next, but you want to do something different than what you're doing, think about what you wanted to be as a child or something that you enjoyed as a teen. So the example of me wanting to go into broadcast journalism. I think I said earlier that I didn't want to go into media. Like I don't know why I said that. Media is different. Like I think of social media and and being able to talk like this, I just didn't want to be a news reporter. I decided I didn't want to do that. So I knew early that I was in the wrong direction there, but that was something that I chose because of something that was in me that wanted to have that presence in some way. And so that's something that I would suggest, is to think about something that you wanted to be even as a child, even as early as, I'm back 5th grade writing plays and having my my cousins act them out for my family. I mean, this was very rigorous. So, and I wanted to do it and I enjoyed doing it. So that kind of thing, just look back at something that you enjoyed, because what happens is you're a child and you're not worried about what anybody else thinks. You're not worried about why this wouldn't work or whatever. You're not even thinking about money. You're not thinking about any of that. So you do have blinders on. You don't even know what's out there to stop you from anything. So whatever you're doing is what you want to be doing. Try to kind of channel that and go back to when you were a child doing something that you loved, and you might even find a little clue as to what you want to do now. And number one thing, stop comparing yourself to others. Do not compare. That is the worst thing. It's so easy. It's so human. Give yourself some grace if you do that, but just try not to do it. You're not in the same place. Your story's different. You're not going to have the same story. You're not going to have the same experiences. And comparing yourself to someone else is so toxic.
Yeah.
It's just very important. And people say it all the time, but it's very important not to do that.
Personally, I have been more on the mindset of just comparing myself to how I was yesterday, a year ago.
That's it.
That growth right there.
Yes.
That to me is something that's very important to me.
That is helpful too. That's very helpful. When you compare yourself and you're just wanting to do a little better than you have been, that's different than comparing yourself to a completely different person who has a completely different path than you do.
Yes. And I know it can be difficult if there's, some people are depressed. It's hard to get in that mindset, but sometimes you have to just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely.
And everything's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like encouragement is just like the bottom line of the podcast that I want to make. I want to be encouraging, because I do know there are a lot of people who've even become complacent because they don't feel like there's even any possibility of doing something new or something that they want to do at this age. And I'm really thinking of 40s, 50s and beyond. That's the age group that I'm looking at, because I know, and who knows, maybe other people could glean from it as well, but that's what I'm thinking, is people who get up to a certain age and start looking at themselves and they're not happy. And well, it's too late now. If I had done this way back, maybe, but I see that happen all the time, and it pains me. So I really want to encourage and give that that encouragement to people to let go of anything that holds them back, I guess.
I think this sounds like a really good journey.
Yeah.
A good positive one.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I cannot stand toxic energy. I do not do well with negative energy, even though I do find myself, and I'm sure Megan can attest to this, sometimes I'm very negative. But, breaking that cycle in your mind,
yes,
it takes time. It takes effort. And, even I kind of gloated on Megan a lot about in this podcast, but there was, I really should. She's amazing.
She is.
When we were first together, a lot of shit in my head that wasn't real, the ways that I was thinking. And I remember some of her friends being like, what are you doing with him? Like, he's not good. And she was nice enough to be like, there's a good man in there. And she saw it, and I just kind of forgot it, but, it is hard kind of getting away from that negative mindset. But if you can be in that positive mind space and bring that to other people, that is going to be something that's amazing.
I hope so.
There's the negativity in this place is just too much.
It is. It's and especially in the last 5-6 years, which it's just gotten so you see it all the time. You just see so much of frustration and I really want to. I see people sinking. I see them. I see them in depression. I see people who I would have never thought would be in that place. And I just it pains me. It really hurts me. And I want to be someone who is able to lift people out of that. And it's a lot to unpack. It's a lot. Like, I think it would take there's so many different topics that I could think of right now of going along with what it is like to be a late bloomer, and it may lead to something else. It could lead to something, another topic. Maybe late bloomers isn't the meat of it. Maybe late bloomers is just a part of something else, like some other big thing. I think that, like you said, people can relate to this. And
once you start, then you start every step along the way. If it starts growing in a different way, I mean, you see that.
Right. You kind of go with the, yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever told this to you. I think I've told it to a few people. My thoughts on doing the podcast in the beginning, and it's still, the basis is still there, even though lately it's me and Buck are just two buddies just sitting down, just talking, shooting the shit with each other, right? Trying to make jokes and making some laughs, right? But my mindset was, I looked at the country and how divided it was kind of becoming, and I just wanted to try to bring people together because, and I'm seeing that more and more now. And once again, I probably get too much of my thoughts from Instagram Reels, but with the World Cup, I've been on my algorithm lately has just been so many Europeans being like, this is such a good place. And with good people, our leaders are making us think that we hate each other.
Yes.
And it's like, that's what it is, because the media gets involved. And like you said, it just gives off this impression that everyone hates us or we hate them, and even in our own country, but we're all people. We all have pasts. We all had a mom and a dad. We grew up a certain way. We had this mentality of thinking this is the only way that life was. And then you get out in the world and you start realizing that it's not necessarily the same. And then you start building your life the way you want it to be built, right? Like, and just because we have some differences, there's still some similarities. And if we find those similarities and we can relate to each other, maybe we'll start understanding people more.
Absolutely. And that's something that I want this to do as well somehow. It's to have people have a conversation. They don't come from the same backgrounds. They may have different political views and all that, but we're having a conversation about something that's universal, and that is being happy in life.
Yeah.
Finding your place, finding your happiness, finding your joy, and not getting stuck in the ho-hum of, you may just feel like you're existing, or you're just going through your day, doing everybody can relate with that. And even if it's just certain days, everybody can relate with that. And that's universal. That's something that we can all talk about. And this would be a lot of different people coming in to it with different, like I said, different backgrounds and all that, but being able to have a common ground. And the common ground is that we're encouraging each other. And how wonderful is that?
Absolutely. Building people up, building a community, a cult, if you will, and just
finally.
Oh my God. If you had a cult, what would it be?
Well, the name of my podcast, I want it to be Roomy Bloomers.
Roomy Bloomers?
Yes. And it came from Room to Bloom was what I was thinking. I thought, well, that sounds, first of all, it's cliche. People say it all the time. I'm sure there's a podcast called that. And I thought, well, let's just take that and make it into something different. So I thought, well, who doesn't like to sit around in their roomy bloomers? And I'm thinking this might be a place that people could come and, there's time to take action, but then there's time to just sit back and have somebody, I don't know, just tell you everything's okay. You're doing okay. And here's some things you might think about working on later. And we're all thinking about these things, and we're all kind of, hopefully the listeners will be in the same kind of mindset probably. And we're all just going to talk about, I don't know, here's some things to do, but at the same time, give yourself a pat on the back and realize you're doing great.
You sound like the only positive cult I've ever heard of. Mine would be a sex cult. All right. Okay. All right. Diverting from this, because it's about time to wrap up. I wanted to talk one more thing with you that we were talking before the podcast.
Okay.
About your time being an actress. A little less than a decade ago?
No, it was actually, it was. Oh gosh, it was in 2018. Yeah, 2018. My friend Joe, he went to school to be I actually worked with him at Amazon, and he went to school after we worked together. He went and followed his dream. He could actually, for many reasons, be on my podcast. I could interview him. He's got a lot to share. And he became a movie director. Like he went to, I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember the school, but it's in Florida.
Okay.
Came back and he wrote movies, and he made a movie, and he asked on Facebook if people would like to be in a movie, like audition for this movie. I ended up making a video, an audition in my kitchen, and it was so funny because I was acting. I made a recording of myself doing the other part, and I'm acting out the other part like on this video to send in to the audition. It was kind of funny. I felt really, really, really silly.
Do you
but
still
I really
have the
wanted.
video?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think. I'll have to look. I might.
If you do, would you send it?
If I find it, I will definitely send it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But he cast me, and I was in this movie in Fort Gay. It was called Drawing Near. It was a blast. We had a great time. We had a little premiere it was at a gym in Fort Gay, I believe it was. But I died twice. I think I died twice in the movie.
You died?
Had to have deaths. Like I had to die.
Wait, how do you die twice in a movie?
Well,
I've got to see this movie.
Because I became a kind of like a zombie.
Oh.
And then I had to be completely killed. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was,
nice.
yeah. So I was one of the leads. I was the mother of, and my kids were like 10 years younger than me in the movie.
That's
not
hilarious.
really in like
Right.
in real life, they were 10 years younger than me, but in the movie they were supposed to be like at least 20 years younger than me.
Okay.
Anyway, that was a lot of fun. It really was. Yeah, I got to die twice.
How many days were you like on set?
He had a really strict, really cool schedule. Like he knew what he was doing. It was very cool. I would say drove out there a total of 10 days.
Okay.
He even had like like food delivered and everything. Like he took care of us. I got paid a little bit. It was very cool. It was very neat.
That's
I wish
awesome.
I could tell you where to find it to watch it. If I do find it, I will show you. I can show you.
What's the name of it called?
called? Drawing Near.
Drawing
is
Near.
The name of it.
That's all.
Yeah.
I feel like all I really need is the trailer because
you
I'm
can-
totally putting it in the podcast. I have to. I can't not.
Yeah, I was in the trailer. I believe I'm sitting on a swing with a beer, and I'm depressed, totally depressed because I was like, so I'm depressed drinking a beer and I have blonde hair, by the way, so you won't even know it's me, but it really is me. I promise. I'm not just saying that.
Oh my God. Well, that's cool. I that's something that I would love to try out in life. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing, never been to film school or anything like that, but I would love to just create something like that.
I was working as a nurse at the time, and I remember going to my boss, and I knew I had to do it. I had to do it. But how do you go to your nursing supervisor and say, "Hey, I've been cast in this movie in Fort Gay, West Virginia, and I need you to let me off a couple days here and there to do this movie."
Oh my God.
She was very cool.
Yeah.
She, for some reason, let me do this, and I did, and it was an absolute blast. And of course, I'm remembering now that those were my two worlds kind of colliding. Here was my nursing that was kind of secure.
Mhm.
I'm not ever going to be without a job. This was my security, and then here's what I want to do over here. And it's, I'm realizing that now, looking back. But yeah, it was a blast.
Well, you're going to be on the next CMD health commercial that I post. And I greatly appreciate
Can't
that.
wait.
It was so nice when I asked you, it was like, you were on it. Like it seemed like no time at all. You had a bunch of videos ready. Loved the one with your boy in it.
Oh, the commercial?
So cute. Yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And thank you so much for helping me out with that because
Oh, you're welcome.
you just had that vibe of, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
I'm going to rock it. Like you might have missed your calling a little bit with that. You should.
Well, I'm telling you, the other people that came through, though, they did great too. I saw those that you sent me, and I think they were just really working hard on it to get.
Oh, they probably were.
Yeah.
They probably were.
But I had a blast. I was like, oh, give me more,
Yeah.
give me more. I'm telling you, those are the kind of things that I just take them and I run with them.
I wanted to use the toilet one, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna use the toilet one.
I actually didn't have there. I didn't think you were going to use that. That was for some fun. I was actually thinking about doing one where I was under a blanket with a flashlight and it came on and it's dark, but I turn the flashlight on and I say, "This is my exam room," and then turn it off. That was my thing I kept meaning to do, but I never did it.
That's hilarious.
But
That's
I
good.
think I'll have Ronan do that.
That would be good. I would love to see that one. Well, Chrissy, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, you've been a blast. I appreciate it. Now, normally Buck's the one that sends us off, and I suck at it, so I'm going to let you do it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so thankful. This has been so much fun, even more fun than I expected. So, all right. Well, we'll just say thanks everybody for listening, and we are excited to see you next time.
Awesome.
All right.
This is the Matters Not podcast. Take it easy, guys.